Now, an incredible few days it's been at the Euros, with Georgia pulling off a famous win over Portugal and Slovakia booking a last 16 tie against England. Let's get more on this and speak to our European football expert, Andy Brassell. Andy, a very good afternoon to you. So just like that, the group stages are done. Are you enjoying it so far?
So much, Jasper. It's been great, and I think a huge part of that has been the atmosphere in Germany, because it feels for a lot of supporters, I suppose, since it's been a long time since they've had a tournament to probably get into. Of course, the last Euros spread between several countries and people's ability to travel restricted by COVID. Then a World Cup either side in places in Russia and Qatar, which were difficult to get to and quite expensive to get to. So it feels as if fans all over Europe are enjoying this so much, and it's been a joy, really.
Yeah, it certainly has come across like that on the TV. Yeah. So, England, Slovakia then, round of 16, obviously for a long time. Well, not for that long, but people were thinking that the Netherlands were going to be our potential opponents. It is Slovakia. Should England be wary of them?
Yeah, I think they have to be, and not only because the way that England have played so far has not done a lot to inspire public confidence, but I think you have to look at Slovakia and say how well they've done to get out of the group. Not the first time they've managed to do that at the Euros, did it in Euro 2016 as well. And what's been so impressive about Slovakia is they've been able to approach games in different ways so far. So you look at the first game against Belgium, that famous win that they got, which has really propelled them into the last 16 eventually, scoring early on and having to withstand pressure from what was really Belgium's best performance of the group. I thought they were better against Slovakia in defeat than they were in the games against Romania and Ukraine. And then when they've had to go after a game, they've managed to do that as well. They came back from the setback against Ukraine. And what they have more than anything, Slovakia, is a really, really good, experienced midfield, led by Stanislav Lobotka of Napoli, who's been really good for them for a couple of seasons. You look at Ondrej Duda, who became the first Slovak to score in 2 European Championships, getting his goal on the final day to see them through as well. And they're led, of course, by Milan Skriniar, one of the better defenders in Europe, who's had a difficult time with injuries since he's arrived at Paris Saint-Germain. But one of the pluses of that is he's maybe a bit more in the tank than some of these other players who've played 55 or 60 games so far this season.
Yeah, OK, that's the key players then. But what about the man who's leading them, Andy, the coach Franchesco Calona? It seems like he's got quite an interesting story, an interesting journey.
Yeah, he has. I mean, it's taken him a long while to get here. And not only that, but most recently, he's been in charge of Slovakia and Napoli at the same time as well. So they brought him in as their third coach of the season in the back half of it. They were rather hoping that he'd bring Slovak legend Marek Hamšík with him, who works with the Slovakian national team and is relatively close to Calona. He was offered the opportunity to be Calzona's assistant, said no, and as a club legend and previous top scorer of all time, of course, surpassing Diego Maradona, I think preserving that kind of godlike status with the Napoli fans in what was a terrible season for them by disassociating from that terrible season was probably the wise move that he made. But Calona is probably relieved to get out of that and just be back with Slovakia now.
Yeah. Let's talk about the half of the draw that England have somehow managed to concoct for themselves. And I don't know quite how they've managed to keep away from Spain, Germany, Portugal, France and Belgium. Quite incredible, really. So the teams that they've got then, Romania, Netherlands, Austria, Turkey, Switzerland and Italy. Out of those, who have caught your eye the most so far? Who should England fear the most, do you think?
Well, Austria, I think, have been the outstanding team of the tournament so far. In the way that they've performed collectively, Ralf Rangnick and everything that he's drilled into that team over qualification, he's been able to do with the team in the final tournament as well. When you consider, as we said before, how many games these sides have got through, these players have got through at the top level of European football. You know, you're looking at, say, one of his key midfielders, Marcel Sabitzer, got all the way to the Champions League final, has barely had a rest. But he's been outstanding, and they collectively have been outstanding. The way they've pressed, the energy they've shown, It's remarkable. It defies all logic, really. And whether they can keep that going for the whole length of the tournament is a big question. They've been outstanding so far. Otherwise, I think you look at the Switzerland-Italy tie. Now, of course, most people now expecting England to face a quarter-final tie with Italy. But having seen Italy at first hand against Croatia, I wasn't enormously impressed. They just about managed to get themselves into that second place with that late Mattia Zaccagni goal, which was very well timed and very well celebrated as well. But I think they're going to have a tough old game with Switzerland. Switzerland, who I was very impressed with against Germany. They made Germany look very ordinary, having been absolutely flying the host nation before that. Restricted Germany to really a lot of difficult chances. Jan Sommer didn't really have that much to do. And you look at the players they have in form, like Manuel Akanji, like Granit Xhaka, who has been one of the players of the tournament so far after that double winning season with Leverkusen. I think there's something to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly seems that way. Let's touch on Rangnick as well, because for Austria to have finished ahead of France, ahead of Netherlands in that group, not many would have predicted that coming into it. And the way that Rangnick's got them playing, the entertaining style of football as well, a lot of Man United fans may be wondering where that was when he was in charge. How do you reflect on what Rangnick's done with Austria? And do you think that it could never really have translated to a club team like United?
Well, I think you're right, Jasper, to identify that they're two totally different jobs, club management and international management. I think international management suits Rangnick a lot better. Of course, he's someone who, over the last decade, has spent less time day-to-day coaching and more time setting strategies as a sporting director, as a head of sport. And so he has this sort of widescreen view of how things should be done. Whereas, clearly by definition with an international team, you have less time actually on the training pitch. Yet he has managed to get those ideas across very cleverly, very succinctly and very clearly to a willing audience of players. And you have to ask, were United's players that? There are a lot of people who leave Manchester United, both off-field and on-field, with their reputations diminished. So I don't think he's in a minority of one there. And it's a shame, really, that he wasn't given an opportunity rather than to coach. Maybe he would have been better suited setting strategy at Manchester United, because he's someone who is a leader, not just in terms of what a team does on the field, but what they do off the field. He had a very thorny issue to sort after Austria's qualification when 3 Rapid Vienna players were caught homophobic chanting after the derby against Austria Vienna. And he stepped straight in and dropped them from the squad. He spoke to them publicly and individually over the telephone and reminded them of their responsibilities and said that that wasn't acceptable in the Austrian national team. And he didn't hold a grudge because he picked 2 of them for the eventual squad as well. So I think you look at that and his ability to communicate and get across his point with authority shows maybe what could have been in a slightly different role at Manchester United.
We've only got about 20 seconds, Andy, but if you could just give me 2 names, one, someone who you think might cause an upset in this last 16, and your eventual winner, having watched the group stages.
Eventual winner, still France. I think they've got the quality to step it up, even though Deschamps and Southgate are kind of in the same boat at the moment. And I guess Austria as our dark horse.